This is a restring of a Jackson Rhoads X series, the RRX24M, Snow White with a Floyd Rose. So I came into the studio today, sat down to play some guitar, and my G string was out of tune. While tuning with my microtonal tuners, it popped out of the saddle. Looks like it's time for some new strings. These are some of the tools you'll need when restringing a Floyd Rose. A Phillips screwdriver, which you may or may not need depending on your customization. But for the purposes of this video, I'll be showing you how you may need it. Next, a 3mm Allen wrench, which is used for unlocking string blocks at the nut and the bridge. Then, a string winder and a tuner. I use a clip-on Snark for portability. You'll also need some wire cutters, which are not pictured here. Most importantly, you'll need some strings. I highly recommend D'Addario NYXL. For today's restring, I'm using 9 to 42 gauge. These will give you just enough thickness for good crunch and thinness for good bends. To start, I laid down some towels to protect my guitar body and my table. After the nut blocks have been removed, I started loosening the strings beginning with the low E string. I worked my way up all 6 strings doing 2 full rotations of the tuning pegs. This allowed the floating bridge to relax a bit. Then I repeated the step once more. At this point, the strings have enough slack that I could loosen the string block bolts at the back of the bridge. I used the whammy bar to hold the bridge forward enough to be able to loosen these bolts. Sometimes strings can get stuck in the saddles. I had that issue here with the high E string, so I removed the string block and put pressure on the underside of the string with an Allen wrench to pry it free. I put all my old strings together by twisting them into a roll and discarded them. I opened up my new strings and laid out the 2 that I would be using first. Then I clipped the ends to fit the saddle. As you can see here, there is a twisted section at the base of the string just before the metal spacer. I cut in the center of this section before inserting it into the saddle. I tightened the string block bolt down by hand first. Then I tightened with the Allen wrench, being sure not to over-tighten. Stripping the saddle can present a whole new set of problems. When threading the tuning peg at the headstock, pull the string taut, then measure about an inch past the tuner shaft. Retract the string back this measured distance to create slack, which will wrap around the tuner shaft as you turn the tuning peg. You want the excess of the string to wind underneath for the first rotation as you tighten your string. After the first rotation, you want the string to rotate under the excess. Then, just tighten the string to taut, just enough to take the slack out of the string. Taking a look at the peg, you can see that the string pinches itself into place. This is ideal to prevent any slippage that could occur. From this point forward, I repeated all of the same steps with each string. It's important to remember not to put any pressure on the bridge with the strings prior to tuning. We are just putting the strings on the guitar to a position without slack. When you do begin tuning, you want pressure to be applied to the bridge evenly. This will lift the floating bridge into place. After all the strings are on the guitar, I put the nut blocks back into place without fully tightening them. Then I clipped off the excess string at the headstock. After this step, I collected all the garbage I've created, removed it from my workspace, and discarded it. I typically elevate the guitar from the base of the neck, so clipping on my strap lock elevated the guitar enough to make the tuning easier. If you don't have strap locks, you can use a towel for the same effect. I clamped on my tuner and began to tune. I utilize DGCFAD. Tuning from this point takes a lot of patience and repetition. Tighten each string with even numbers of rotations to distribute pressure evenly as you tune. When the strings are completely tuned, the floating bridge should be sitting parallel with the body. Once the strings are all tuned for the first time, let the guitar sit for 15 to 30 minutes to allow the strings to stretch naturally. After that 15 to 30 minutes, come back to the guitar and tune again. The tuning at this point is just about being more precise. Once I have tuned the guitar as precise as I can at the headstock and the strings are holding tune, I lock down the locking nut. Tune again with the microtonal tuners on the Floyd Rose. This can take time and multiple times tuning for the strings to be spot on. Again, it's important that your floating bridge is as close to parallel to the body as you can get it. This allows for more upward and downward action with your whammy bar. At this stage, your microtonal tuners will have a minor variance in height. Always make sure before tuning to reset these microtonal tuners to flat, centered position. The plastic cover at the center of the back of your guitar covers the bottom side of the floating bridge. Once removed, you can plainly see the springs that connect a mounting plate to the bottom of the block of the Floyd Rose itself. The amount of springs that you will need is dependent on the gauge of strings you use. I use a lighter gauge string, so I only need 2 springs. Higher gauge strings requires higher number of springs. There are 2 screws holding the mounting bracket into the body of the guitar. Adjusting these screws will adjust the angle of the Floyd Rose, allowing you to set the Floyd Rose at a parallel with the body. This is when you'll need that Phillips screwdriver. I didn't need to make any adjustments here because my Floyd Rose is already sitting parallel with the body. So I'm just gonna close it up and be finished with my tuning job today. I'll put the guitar away in a case and check the tuning over the next few days. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Comment if you have any questions, thoughts, or things to add. See you next time.